The Lion and the Mouse. The lion cubs played happily in the sunshine while their parents slept nearby. The day grew hotter and hotter, so hot that the cubs grew tired. One by one, they lay down to rest in the shade near their parents. Only one of the cubs kept on playing despite the heat. When the blazing sun was at its highest, however, it was too hot even for him, so he padded over to a shady spot at the edge of the jungle and went to sleep. Suddenly, a mouse scampered across the sleeping lion cub's paw, tickling him and waking him up. The lion cub snarled angrily. The mouse froze, too terrified to run away. "I'm sorry I woke you," she said, trembling. When the lion saw that it was only a harmless little mouse, he smiled and said, "Off you go, little one. I won't hurt you." "Oh, thank you for sparing my life," said the mouse. "One day I will repay you for your kindness. Even if you ever need help, send for me." The lion laughed out loud. "I am much bigger and stronger than you," he said, "and soon I shall be even bigger and stronger. A mouse cannot help a lion." Then the lion stood up and stretched to show just how big and strong he was. Proudly he walked away. The mouse ran in the other direction. Years passed, and the cub grew into the biggest and strongest of all the lions. He was now the king of the beast. The days were long and hot, and every day at noon, the great lion would go to sleep in the shade. If the mouse happened to run by, she kept well away from the lion's paws. One day, when the lion headed for his resting spot, he fell into a trap. The more he struggled to get free, the more he entangled himself in the net. The king of the beast was caught. He gave a mighty roar. He roared with rage. He roared in fear. Then he roared for help. The animals of the day heard his call and rushed up to him, but they couldn't help. Night fell, and the lion was still trapped in the net. The animals of the night crept up to see the captured lion, but they couldn't help him either. Early the next morning, the mouse appeared. "You called for me?" she asked. "I will help you as I promised I would years ago." The lion looked at the mouse in amazement. "No one can help me," he said, "least of all you." The mouse started nibbling through the cords of the net, one after another. "Be patient, lion," she said. "Soon you will be free." Before long, the mouse had chewed a hole in the net, and the lion pushed himself through it. The lion was free. He stood before the mouse and bowed his head. "Thank you, little mouse," he said. "I will never again laugh at someone weaker or smaller than myself. To repay your kindness, I promise I will always protect you." And so the lion and the mouse remained the best of friends until the end of their days.
Okay, Miss Davis, you can begin.
In a dry, dusty place where the sand sparkled gold stood a misty, flat rock, all craggy and old. And under that rock, in a tiny full house, lived the littlest, quietest, meekest brown mouse. You see the mouse?
Yeah.
He was so very tiny, so incredibly small, that nobody noticed him ever at all. He got stepped on and sat on. He missed out on stuff, ignored and forgotten. His mouth life was tough. Meanwhile, far above, on top of the rock, times were quite different. It was the lion o'clock. This huge, toothy creature made sure everyone saw how important he was by how loud he could roar. He was head of the pack. He was shortly and proud. He loved flexing his biceps and wowing the crowd. Yes, all were impressed by this mighty king cat. If only thought mouse, I could be more like that. Then late one dark night, in his tiny mouse bed, the cleverest thought popped into his head. He leaped up in the darkness and held up a paw. "I've got it," he said. "What I need is a roar. I mean, what if this mouse with the weeniest squeak were a little more grrr and a little less meek?" Well, he'd still be the smallest of fuzzy brown mice, but he'd make friends and join in, and life would be nice. Yes, thought the mouse, I must find out how. I will learn how to roar, and I will learn it now. But it wouldn't be easy. There was only one beast who could teach him this thing, but might take him a feast. It was time to be strong, take a chance after all. Forever was such a long time to feel small. So he made himself brave, and he thought like a winner. He set off for the top, hoping not to be dinner. It felt like the scariest thing he could do, but if you want things to change, you first have to change you. The farther he climbed, the closer he got to the slumbering lion reclining on top. Then at last he stood on his tippy toes. He found himself suddenly nose to
Nose.
Gulp, pardon me. Wake up, Mr. Lion. You've got company. Squeak, Mr. Lion. What I've come to you for is Squeak. Do you think you could teach me your roar?
What?
A silence befell the twinkling plain. Lion opened his eyes and puffed out his mane. Time went so slowly it felt like a week. Then he opened his mouth and let out an eek. The lion held up in a terrified bawl. He didn't like this, not one bit at all. Don't hurt me, he whimpered. Oh, try to be nice. This mighty great lion was frightened of mice. Don't worry, Mouse peeped. I'm here as a friend. Let's hang out together, be pals to the end.
A lion instead of a mouse.
That was a magical moment for sure, when the mouse didn't feel at all small anymore. He had found his true voice and learned to speak out, and for that you don't need to roar or to shout. And from that day and always the two were a pair. They both liked the rock better, now that the rock was to share. The mouse, while still little, felt big in his head, and Lion he still roared, but with laughter instead. Yes, that day they both learned that no matter your size, we all have a mouse and a lion inside.
Look at his head.
Yes.
It
It is like a poem. How does it relate to the other book I read?
Look at that mouse got big ears.
The other lion.
Because next day they both laugh.
They both laugh. Did it have some?
No.
Did the lion yell at the mouse this time?
No.
No.
The lion helped the
Yes.
mouse. In the book you read, this book it did the lion didn't get caught. They didn't help the mouse.
Yeah.
Instead of the mouse being afraid of the lion was afraid of the mouse.
That's different, isn't it? That's not how it's been in the other books we've read, is it?